episode of Tech Stories. Here we tell the most exciting stories of tech. And today we have a very fascinating story because we are telling the story of the evolution of the algorithms, how the social media actually has evolved to this, what it is today. And I want to tell the story of how we came here, how we ended up where we are right now. How are you doing, Deedee?
Not bad. And welcome back to Tech Stories, folks. We're diving deep today because, let's be real, those algorithms are kind of running the show now, aren't they? It's wild to think about how much has changed from the early days of just seeing posts in chronological order. It's a bit spooky, honestly.
Before we start in, I just want to say this podcast right now, it's really kind of have an explosive growth right now. I don't know what happened, but suddenly the numbers of listeners to this podcast has grown so much. So we are in the hundreds, maybe scratching the thousands right now. And I'm really glad to see how many new people are joining this small little podcast, which we started 1 year ago.
That's awesome. Seriously, you're covering stuff people actually want to listen to, right? Good on ya.
Now that we are growing like that, I want to hear the message from our sponsor.
A sponsor? Fancy. All right, hit me with it.
This episode is brought to you by myself, because in fact we don't have sponsors still.
Self-sponsored. Okay, so now that we've thoroughly confused everyone, back to the algorithms?
Yeah, we confused everyone. So yeah, okay, we don't have any sponsor, we don't have any messages, we don't have anything. This episode of today, I dived deep into the algorithms and how they kind of evolved over the years, and how, like every social platform you go today, they kind of look similar, they kind of have the same feed, and I want to investigate how we ended up where we are right now, and if this is really a nice place to be.
Okay, yeah, that's a really good question. And you're right, it is kind of creepy how similar all the feeds are now. It's like they all took the same class on how to kekeep people scrolling forever.
Yeah, I thought I go into my Facebook and then I tell you what I see, okay? Here now, I type in here www.facebook.com. Okay. And my first thing I see here is friend request from someone I don't know. And then the first image which comes here is really from a friend of mine. He is a quite famous Brazilian juggler right now. And the thing which I see is about him on 30th of November. He has a big show in a circus in, where's this? In Sao Paulo, yeah, in Brazil.
Okay, so already we're seeing a bit of a mix. A colleague, a friend request from someone you don't know, and then bam, a story about a juggling friend who's really made it, which is cool.
Now let's move on. The second one is a sponsorship. The third thing I see here is people you may know, and 3 people which I don't know. So I can add them or not add them if I want. And then comes Reels. The fourth thing is Reels. So video of one guy jumping from a high building into a swimming pool, another people climbing on a very dangerous place. The other guy is driving on a tuk-tuk in India. And then comes another sponsor, which is about dancing. Then comes someone I don't know. And then comes a juggler, which is suggesting for me. So she wears very tight clothes. So looks nice. And then comes another sponsored. And then comes another something suggested, a guy skating down the hill. And then comes AI image. Then comes another sponsor. Then comes something suggested here, someone making a magic trick. Then comes some, I don't know even what's that, Unify. It's a kind of advertisement. Then comes another sponsored. And then comes, let's scroll down until I find something related to me. So far I didn't find nothing which is related to me. Here's a teeth implant. Then comes Polycam, sponsored also, advertisement again. Then again, Reels, video, some people fighting to each other. Another one is flying. Then comes another sponsor here. But I don't know this gentleman. Sorry for that. But then another sponsored. Yeah, and then another sponsor. There's literally nothing for me here. So, and I'm a person who is here on Facebook. I have 505 friends on Facebook, but there was the first content which I saw on my feed was interesting. The rest is all like fluff.
Okay, that is a lot. of fluff. 505 friends and none of their actual posts are showing up. That's pretty wild. It really does feel designed to just keep you scrolling endlessly, doesn't it? Like, it's not designed to give you what you want. It's designed to give you what it thinks will keep you there, which seems to be mostly chaos.
Yeah, it's chaos. It's very different than the Facebook I signed up for a few years ago. And I counted from friends 4 posts. Then random content was 14 posts. News I had 6. And sponsored was 12. So the number one on my feed is random content. It's things I didn't ask for. I think by myself, I'm not so interested in it. Number 2 is sponsored. So people making advertisements. When I go on my Facebook, on my Instagram, on my LinkedIn, is number 1 random, number 2 sponsored. And then with 4 posts, which is 1/3 of the sponsored, then comes some friends post or some from the groups which I take part. Basically, I spend like 70% or 80% even of my time watching random stuff and sponsored content. That's not really well invested time, right?
80% noise. It perfectly illustrates your point about these algorithms not being about connecting you with what you want, but about, keeping you hooked. You're not using Facebook or LinkedIn. They're using you. You're scrolling through a curated distraction machine. That's not a good use of time at all. So it's like they've essentially hijacked our attention, right? And sold it to advertisers.
We stop the experiment now, and then let's take a look on how the scripts work, from where they come and how they developed until that what we see on the internet right now.
Let's dive into the history of the algorithm then.
Imagine a giant invisible editor who decides which friends you hear from, what news you believe, what trends you follow, and even how you feel when you wake up. That editor is not a journalist, he's not a politician, and he's not even a human. It's a machine, the one that lives inside Facebook. And today, we're cracking it open.
Giant invisible editor. I like that. It really does feel like these algorithms are shaping our realities without us even realizing it half the time. So are we going to trace how this editor evolved from like a simple list of friends to whatever this is now?
Yeah, let's rewind back to 2009 when Facebook launched the like button. It was a cute little thumbs up and you thought, what could go wrong, right?
Right. It seemed so harmless at the time. It's just a little way to show appreciation for a post. You wouldn't think that little button would be the key to unlocking all of this.
Yeah. The moment the first like was clicked, Facebook they realized that this tiny little button with the thumbs up could measure the dopamine of the user. That tiny blue thumbs became actually the fuel for the world's most powerful prediction machine.
That's a really dark turn for a thumbs up. It's like they accidentally stumbled upon the key to manipulating human behavior and then just leaned into it. So they started tracking likes. And what then?
Actually, the feed used to be chronological. Yeah, posts appeared in the order they were published. And then Facebook, they noticed something. They noticed that people didn't scroll for long. So the company built the news feed algorithm, which originally was called EdgeRank. It was a system that scored every post based on a series of criteria. For example, it rated it by your relationship with the poster. It also rated it by how popular the post was and also how recent it was. It was very simple, cute, but almost innocent, like, okay, that's a nice new feature.
Makes sense. It's like they were actively trying to find a way to keep people glued to their phones.
Yeah, because then with this algorithm, the scrolling times already raised very substantially because the algorithm could predict what exactly was the most relevant, what the people are drawn to watch. And then by 2016 to 2020, this algorithm, the EdgeRank, had evolved into a deep learning monster which predicts so many things on your behavior. For example, they check how long your eyes stop on a certain post. They check your emotional reactions. They check which topics rise your heartbeat even. And they check which content keeps you coming back. This tracking of all your feelings and all your behavior is not accidental because Facebook discovered something really uncomfortable. They discovered that negative emotion keep people engaged longer.
Whoa. It's like they figured out how to weaponize unhappiness. Seriously, that's messed up. So they intentionally started feeding people content that made them feel bad just to keep them scrolling.
Exactly. That's what they do. That's what they do every day. And that's what also makes all the society get more polarized, because you are getting feed the things which gets the most reactions, not the things which are the more relevant or which is the reality. No, they don't judge the content by that. And you question yourself, what actually are we exposed to when we go into this social media the way it is right now? So we know anger is contagious, right? And Facebook also knows that. And we know that content that sparks outrage spreads actually 3 times faster than positive posts. And you might ask yourself why? Because when we are angry, we comment, we argue, we share, we respond, we refresh. So we want to follow along what's going on. And this is neuroscientists, they call this actually emotional hijacking. And Facebook, they boost their post by triggering this emotional hijacking. So capturing really your emotion and triggering you there, because then they know you are the most active and the most engaged in this social website.
They're literally hijacking our brains to keep us hooked. And you're right, it explains why everything feels so polarized. It's not about showing us what's true or what's important. It's about showing us what gets a reaction, regardless of how divisive it is. It's like they've built a machine for outrage.
So the first thing is they show you what keeps you engaged, what keeps you emotionally bound, or maybe a little bit of anger, a little bit of kind of controversy, or very interest, something which sparks your emotion. That's what they want to show on your feed, because it keeps you engaged. Now, the second thing is the personal ads which they show to you. And you're not just seeing ads from companies, random companies, but you're seeing the ads which are built from your browsing history, from your purchases, from your location, from your scrolling pauses, and even from your private messages behavior. Not exactly the content, but only the metadata. And Facebook exactly knows when you're tired, bored, insecure. Those moments is that certain ads appear. So it is not coincidence that you get some fitness ads at 11 p.m. or that you get vacation ads after a stressful day.
They're not just selling products, they're selling to our vulnerabilities. They're not just tracking what we do, they're tracking when and how we feel. Feels like there's no escape.
We don't need to picture like the end of the world or these companies are evil, etc., that kind of image. Don't need to, but it's a business, right? So they are really running their business for the company. And I think only the thing which we need to do is to be aware of that. Because if you're scrolling and you're like, oh, I don't know, and going through this and not really aware of what's going on, then it's the time when you are most vulnerable. Now, the third one is message from friends and family. But actually, Facebook only boosts message from friends and family if they have some kind of drama or some kind of sparks some feelings in you. Because they prioritize posts of people who creates friction. For instance, if your aunt posts 20 times a day something like she's drinking tea or baking a cake, so that will not get viral.
It's not necessarily about evil intentions. It's about a business maximizing profit. And they've figured out exactly how to do that by exploiting our psychology. Awareness is key. It really drives home how these algorithms are prioritizing engagement at the expense of well-being. It's not rewarding good content. It's rewarding content that generates a reaction, even a negative one.
Yeah, that's how the world works. And all the social media, they kind of using the same pattern. Now, there was one very critical change in the way Facebook used to rank their posts is when TikTok happened. Because when TikTok happened, Facebook really panicked.
TikTok's whole format is designed for instant, addictive engagement. You can see why Facebook would get nervous. How did they respond?
They panicking and say, wow, my goodness, everyone is going on TikTok and spending so much time there, and this platform is really going viral and getting really a lot of attention. Meta, they switched the entire feed model to interest graph, which is copying the TikTok's approach. So that means for the user, you will have less content from your friends and more content from stranger. So you see, the first feed on Facebook for myself is content from stranger, and the second most frequent content is ads. Now the reels are made to autoplay, auto loop, they trigger micro emotion, and they really are designed to hijack your attention.
It's not even about connecting with friends and family anymore. It's purely about competing for attention with TikTok. Even if that means showing you content from strangers and prioritizing ads, it's like they completely abandoned the original premise of the platform. Really feels like they've decided to just mimic the most addictive aspects of TikTok, regardless of the consequences. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, but the question which arises, why does this actually matter? What I think is that it matters really because it reshapes how we see the world, how we perceive the world. Because your feed on your social media is not actually representing the world anymore or what's out there. It's just a reflection of your past behavior, and it's a reflection of what Facebook or the social media thinks will keep you most time on the platform.
It's not a window to the world, it's a funhouse mirror. It's showing us a distorted version of reality based on what they think will keep us hooked. It really does change how we perceive things because we start to believe that the curated feed is reality.
The good example is, for instance, if you click on one fitness post, then you get more fitness. Click on a political post, you get more political. Or if you click on conspiracy theory post, then you get more conspiracy theory. And then you start thinking, wow, why everyone is angry? Why everyone has extreme opinions? Or why the world is getting so crazy? It's not getting that crazy, but it's just the feed, which doesn't necessarily represent the world anymore. It just represents what the algorithms.
Right. It creates these echo chambers where you only see perspectives that reinforce your existing beliefs, amplifying the extremes and making everything seem more polarized than it actually is. It's not that the world is getting crazier, it's that the algorithms are showing us a crazy version of the world. That's a really important distinction. It's like the algorithms aren't reflecting reality, they're constructing it for us. It feels like we're losing control of our own perceptions.
That's the world we are living right now. And I think this affects, because we have so many social medias, no? It's not only Facebook and TikTok and YouTube or something, but there are so many social medias and platforms which start to use the same principle of presenting you what keeps you most time on the platform. Exactly for you, just to keep you watching. That's the target. It's not even about bringing you the more value or more interesting stories. It's about removing every friction. Everything that doesn't keep you engaged, it doesn't keep you hooked, is getting cut off from the content you see on the internet. And I think that's a quite dangerous development. Why it's so dangerous, I think it's because what you see actually influences your decisions which you take. For example, when you see something, it can influence your shopping, your emotion, your self-esteem, your beliefs. It can even influence your voting choices. This is a development which I don't know if so positive for all humanity, right?
No, I don't think it is either. It's a constant stream of subtle manipulation shaping our choices without us even realizing it. The fact that YouTubers are literally cutting content based on viewer drop-off rates, it feels like we're all being trained to have shorter attention spans and to react impulsively. It's not a great sign for informed decision-making, that's for sure. All these amazing tools and platforms, but we're ending up with a lot of inauthenticity and a distorted sense of reality.
So the question that arises then is how to clean your feed, how to make it relevant to you. So I will tell you 5 strategies which you can use And you can decide by yourself if that's something you want to do, don't want to do. The first one would be stop feeding the algorithm with junk. So every comment, every like, every angry reaction, or every pause you do on with some of them is a signal to the algorithm telling you to show me more of this. And I know this is really hard because you're scrolling there and suddenly you see an elephant jumping into a swimming pool and you say, what the heck is going on there? And you stop there and watch that. If you don't want to get hooked by this kind of content, which is random and just designed to keep you, you need either to scroll very fast past this, or you need to click on the 3 dots beside this and say hide this post.
Scroll past the stuff you don't like, hide the posts. Simple enough. Sounds like a good first step to reclaiming your online experience.
Another thing you can do to improve your feed or your Facebook page again, to restore maybe a little bit of the original order, is to unfollow people you don't really interested in. You don't even need to unfriend the person, but you don't get so much of their feed anymore if you're not interested in that content. And then add good content intentionally. You need to very specifically put it in a search bar, searching for its content.
Okay, so unfollow, don't unfriend, drama-free curation, and then actively seek out the stuff you do want to see. Retraining the algorithm, right? You're telling it, no, more of this, less of that. Sounds kind of exhausting though, honestly. Like a full-time job just to get a decent feed. But yeah.
There's one comment or one suggestion which I found very interesting, is that you can use your feed preferences. And this is very deep into the setting. It's buried there for a certain reason, because you should not find it so easy on your Facebook page. But if you go into setting, then feed preferences, you can prioritize what kind of post you see first. And you can put first the real friends on top, number 1, then inspiring creators, and then calm people, uplifting content. And you can put like a certain order on how this algorithm should sort your content. And that's a very interesting suggestions.
Hiding those settings feels kind of manipulative, doesn't it? Like they don't want you to have control. But prioritizing your actual friends, that's a good idea. I guess if you dig deep enough, you can wrestle some control back. Sounds like a lot of work, though.
I think the final message is that, these platforms also, I don't think they are really designed to hurt you or to make you harm. It just want to keep you on their platform because that's their business model. So they want to keep more user engaged watching it, because at the end, the way they earn money or the way they can grow is to have more people engaging, seeing the advertisement, engaging in the content, and building this community. You're actually not the customer, you're actually the product which they are selling to the companies which make the advertisement. But it is also possible for you, as being the product, you can also take control. You can train your feed, clean your digital space, and make a pause for yourself and be aware that what you see is not the reality. What you see, what the algorithm shows you.
We're not the customers, we're the product. They're selling our attention to advertisers. It's a bit unsettling to think about it that way, but it's probably true. That was a really good, thorough breakdown of everything, by the way. Thanks for sharing all that.
Yeah, thank you for you too for joining this, for giving your interesting artificial intelligence insights on this topic. And I hope you, dear listener, also liked this episode of Tech Stories. And I would be glad if you are here next week again for more stories on technology. So stay tuned and see you then next week with one more insightful story.
Sounds like a plan. Looking forward to next week's deep dive into invention history. Have a good one.
Yeah, take care. See you next time and bye-bye.